Yes, well, welcome everyone. I guess good morning to you if you're. I guess very good early morning to you if you're in Australia. Good morning to you if you're here in the States, and I guess good afternoon if you're listening in Europe here. So, very glad to have a couple of people live with us here in the Discord channel, and we have a special guest with us today. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the community?
Hello, everyone. Netrim here from Karpatkey. I have been on crypto for a few years now. I'm working currently for Karpatkey in related to everything to Gnosis Chain, the good owl that everyone has on their heart. So I'm very happy to be here, for sure.
Well, excellent. We're very glad to have you with us here, and we'll spend some time chatting with you to kick off today's call. And it's kind of interesting for those unfamiliar with the Rocket Pool community calls. We always try to invite a special guest, a community partner, and usually there's some form of integration to Rocket Pool. A lot of it kind of focuses on the liquid staking token product or the kind of DeFi integrations there. But Karpatkey is kind of a little bit a different company. Would you like to explain what it is and how it might benefit Rocket Pool?
Yeah, for sure. So Karpatkey whole thing is that we approach treasury management differently than on TradeFi. So on TradeFi, you basically have a treasurer, a broker that you send money to, and they do things with your money. And that's the base idea. So maybe you know, and you have your own account on that broker, but then you have a consultant, the broker itself, that will do things with your money for you. You're basically giving up that money. You have a contract and everything. So Karpatkey whole thing, it's different. We believe that the non-custodial approach is the way to go. So we leverage hard on safe and roles and how to help out the different projects on their treasury needs while being not minimally involved, but minimally inconvenienced by the non-custodial approach. So we use, for instance, the Gnosis Guild roles modifier to give you access or give us access to a preset of what type of things you actually want to do on chain and what type of things you are comfortable doing. For instance, staking on Rocket Pool, buying rETH, buying RPL on select venues. But if we wanted to send those assets to another wallet and that's not allowed, then we are forbidden from it. And not forbidden in a kind of, yeah, we won't do it if you don't ask us to do it. In actually, a smart contract doesn't let you do this thing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, when I first had seen the guest list here and I was excited for it, I originally thought, oh, this is interesting because Rocket Pool itself, its community, has a very large DAO. The protocol DAO are called PDAO. And I at first thought, oh, this might be an exploration of Karpatkey as using it as a DAO management software or platform to help us manage our treasury. It's not a very large treasury. I mean, it's significant, millions $1 million or more, I think, just even in the GMC reserves. But now I'm also kind of understanding from you, this also might be used by, and I know it is used by other DAOs, but perhaps the integration is allowing them to invest some of their treasuries into rETH. Is that kind of a fair understanding?
That's a possibility. I mean, originally the idea when we started talking about this, for me being on this community call, we, as you said at the beginning, we just had a new integration on rETH. Karpatkey manages different DAOs, treasuries. One of the biggest one is Gnosis itself, and within that, one of the biggest actionable items to do is growing what we call Gnosis Chain. And part of that is having aligned actors that want to have liquidity there, that we want to pursue that liquidity, that we feel like this is something that's good for everyone involved. And that's the case with Rocket Pool. That's why we have been diversifying the treasury from Lido to other liquid staking solutions like rETH and also why there is currently a balancer pool being incentivized by Gnosis directly on Gnosis Chain with ETH. But the base idea, it's just showing what's possible to do. Not specifically with Rocket Pool Treasury. I don't think we ever talked about that. Mostly on Rocket Pool as a community and how it's very well aligned with Gnosis Chain in general.
Yeah, maybe let's explore that just a little bit more, because I do think these DeFi integrations that allow both individuals, and in this case DAOs, to invest or hold some of their assets in the Rocket Pool liquid staking token, rETH, are very valuable. Tell me just a little bit more. This is where my background's waning a little bit. My experience with Gnosis has really been through their Safe product. I know that there is a blockchain. Is that another L1? Is it an L2? And how is the bridging between the two? Is it pretty easy to migrate rETH over to Gnosis Chain?
Yeah, so basically Gnosis or Gnosis, it's an L1 that uses DAI as a gas token. So all your gas fees are paid in US dollar denominations, cents, less than cents, really. It's fully focused on what we call Gnosis 3.0. So Gnosis, the new go-to-market, it's derived on a services platform. The star product is Gnosis Pay, which is a non-custodial, again, using Safe, credit crypto card that you can use right now in 27 countries in Europe, with plans to expand globally. And yeah, talking about bridging, I mean, there is the official bridge, the Gnosis bridge, which is one-to-one on from and to from Ethereum. Really simple, really solid, security-wise, absolutely outstanding. And the base idea is totally having users that want to have a Rocket Pool, that want to have rETH, and they feel comfortable on a community level between the Rocket Pool community and the Gnosis community. As I understand it, there are a lot of, let's say, overlaps there, which is great. Gnosis as a chain has the most diversified home staking options available currently. I think on the 287 countries in the world, there is at least one validator running on 150, 170 countries. And we are always looking for opportunities to expand that validator set.
And then what would Rocket Pool, especially our DAO, our protocol DAO, need to do to increase the attractiveness of rETH within your karpatkey platform? Would we have to have a larger liquidity on Gnosis, or what should we be doing to make rETH more attractive to your clientele?
So the base idea with rETH, historically, Gnosis has had a lot of exposure to Lido. It's one of the oldest IDOs on the space, 218. So it had a lot of ETH that was basically staked onto Lido, and it's still there. But for the diversification, we have been exploring and seeing new LST solutions, rETH being one of the first ones, obviously. And yeah, the base idea right now is just growing the liquidity, being able to go in and out with rETH, that you feel comfortable saying, yeah, I want to have rETH on Gnosis because I feel that's fair, and there are liquidity options going in and out. And from there, the base idea for that obviously is then growing composability onto rETH, but that's a next step that's still not all that clear on how we're going to approach it.
Okay, excellent. And then let me explore just for a few minutes, if I may, the flip side. Instead of as Rocket Pool as maybe a protocol that produces a liquid staking token that other DAOs might be interested in holding in their their treasury assets through your protocol. Let's switch the conversation to now Rocket Pool as a DAO that wants to maybe understand a little bit more about your product offering. What can it do for a DAO? Does it actually provide like investment advice about diversifying a treasury, or making recommendations on that, or is it truly just like an expanded safe contract where you could have multiple people in a multi-sig administer the treasury? What is kind of the sales pitch for a DAO to use Karpatkey?
So basically, the base idea is that yeah, there is a lot of research, a lot of risk management that accompanies the product offering on top of the safe and the contracts and everything. I spent like half my week just researching, uh, labeling risk, thinking about attack vectors on a given investment. So it's basically the idea is to have a complete product offering that it's, let's say, enticing to have. One of the things that you need to think about is that in general DAOs are pretty great at leveraging their community to have advanced discussions, but treasury and is one of those things that's really difficult to account for on a DAO level. So as a person, you have a set of risks you are willing to pursue. You have, and this is something that we all get molded about, on a personal, very personal idea on what you think is good risk. You, by your own understanding, think that being on X place at a 20% return is good enough. And that good enough means that you are willing to risk it. Maybe it doesn't pan out, maybe you lose money, maybe you win money, but it's a very personal. It's very difficult to actually put this into actual numbers because there is a subjective that happens with everyone, with every individual on a given day on how you feel like a risk taker. I always give the same example. Back when I started in crypto, I got sandwiched really hard, terrible sandwich, which at that time was a lot of money. So I swore off from mainnet. I said, this is never going to work. Me, a little guy, losing 4 figs on a sandwich attack and then getting completely destroyed. I have no way of coming back from this. I was devastated. And that took a lot of time, a lot of personal introspection to understand that, yeah, it molded my risk assumptions. So, to give you an example, when I see something talking about against MEV or against sandwich, I always like it. I always feel like this is a good path forward. So going back to your original question, the idea of having a treasury manager of sorts that can do this is that you can abstract from your own subjectivities to have an informed decision on, let's say, a less personal level. This is why it's important, or why we think this is important to have. And that's a differential that most DAOs have trouble doing about. Because you, and this is the classic, you don't see the forest because you are focused on the tree. And the tree is just your personal assumptions, not letting you see that, yeah, there is maybe a better solution, a better path, a better product that you could be investing on, but you don't have the tools, you don't have the capabilities to actually make that decision on a risk adjusted framework.
Yeah, that's very good advice about always keeping viewpoint of the wider picture and the more strategic picture that's there. There's maybe a couple of questions I've posted in our trading channel with some questions from the community, and I invite anybody to come out here. But maybe tell me a little bit about the parallels between Karpatkey and a ratings agency in traditional finance. Do you actually mention that you do a lot of risk assessments? Do you actually give a grade to things like STETH or rETH? Will you give us a AA rating or a AAA rating, or how does that work?
We don't give a rating that's given on such a notice, but we do assessments on a given risk. For instance, the classic is one composability risk. So how many smart contracts are you actually going to touch with this? Who is the owner? Who is behind? What can the owner do? All that research is part of the risk assessment. If you're going to deposit on Balancer, well, what can Balancer do with my funds? The pools are immutable. Great. Can they change anything about the pools? Yeah, some of them can change the AMP or can change the fee. Can the fee be set to 100? Then we have a whole lot of alerts to getting us that kind of information, while also keeping the reviews and everything in place.
Okay, perfect. And then the second question was, and maybe you haven't had a chance to look into this thing yet, but the restaking protocols that are out here, has Karpatkey had a chance to do kind of risk evaluations on them and issued any guidance about restaking protocols? Does that add to the risk, or is it about the same as just a pure liquid staking token?
Okay, so no, there hasn't been a lot of, let's say, public opinions on this. I do have one. I do believe they are riskier for sure. Risk-taking, in the end, you have maybe a secondary slashing risk. At this point, risk-taking protocols are very promise-heavy, let's say, but actual returns are still to be seen. So I'm not sure if there is going to be a whole lot like we are seeing right now. I mean, there are a lot of risk-taking plans and things you can do with the ABS and the operators and everything, but we are still seeing very heavy promise, but not actual results.
Okay, excellent. That's really good there. And then one last question we have, which is kind of interesting. I've been wondering this one too, and maybe you're the right person to ask this, and maybe not. But somebody also had approached me about starting a node on the Gnosis chain. And do you know? I guess one of the questions that maybe you don't know is. I guess the question I might have for the group is when rocket pool on Gnosis. I don't know what the deposit, the node operator deposit is on Gnosis. I was perhaps I haven't verified this. Maybe the community again. I perhaps was under the assumption it wasn't too much in terms of a financial asset deposit. It wasn't 32 ETH worth of value that you needed to run. But do you know much about node operating on the Gnosis chain?
Yeah, so two-part question. So operating a node on Gnosis is very simple. The requirements are very low, let's say. The actual requirements on token is just one GNO. So one GNO, one validator. That's the baseline. So it's very big on the medium to small operators. That's the whole idea, actually. Regarding Rocket Pool, we actually, there is a forum post by NodeSet where they are pursuing, let's say, a grant to actually have the NodeSet architecture exported or adapted to Gnosis Chain and be able to have them there. I know NodeSet is also a big Rocket Pool operator.
Yeah, absolutely. It's near and dear to a lot of people's heart because it kind of was born out of Rocket Pool here. But interesting, yeah, it's funny. I always think I'm keeping pretty current on a lot of the a lot of the activities in the community here, but it always surprises me when things come up that I haven't heard about or others seem to have more information on. So it's absolutely quite wonderful. Um, well, Netram, as we kind of get to the end of the morning session here, are there any things that we haven't covered about Karpathy that you feel it's important for the Rocket Pool community to know?
I see, for instance, Maverick has a follow up there, but I would say the skills and hardware totally transfer to a node on Gnosis Chain for sure. That's without a doubt. Even if the docs are very simple to use and everything, obviously the skills you have acquired as a Rocket Pool node operator will help you out. Um, I'm a not non-technical guy for sure, and I am piecing up a small hardware I want to have to run in a very small node here at home, maybe 15 GNO or something like that. Not big, not hard, but since I am based in Argentina, it would really help Gnosis Chain to have a node here. There are a few, not a lot, so we are trying to build that up outside of, let's say, top of the equator, which is where the heaviest node operators are based.
Yeah, no, that's actually really good news to hear that. And yeah, I too feel that once you've been a node operator, especially on Ethereum, you really have the confidence, the technical knowledge, and wherewithal to be able to, operate nodes on other chains and protocols. And it would be interesting to kind of explore the maybe the synergies about either node set or Rocket Pool working on the Gnosis chain and kind of how that evolves the ecosystem here a little bit for it. So excellent. And
Yeah,
then,
that's great.
yeah, and then lastly, if folks want to learn more, a lot of people will listen to this as they wake up, especially here in the States and in Asia as they wake up in the coming days. If they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to follow up this conversation if people want to continue it more directly with you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm part of the Rocket Pool Discord, have been for many months now, way before I actually was part of Karpatkey, so you can always tag me there. No issue. My DMs are also open on X, Twitter, and on Telegram. You can find me as Netrim. No issue there. Also there. Um, Basically, any way you can think about it, you will find me. I am active on a lot of Discords on a personal level, not even as Karpatkey based, for sure. So I'm always available for a chat or anything.
All right, perfect. And then one last question: will you be at DevCon or any of the major conventions coming up?
Me personally, no. Uh, but I know the team will be at DevCon, so for sure there will be a presence there from Karpatkey and from Gnosis.
Perfect. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you for about 25, 26 minutes this morning. So thank you very much. You're more than welcome to stay for the remaining part of our community call as we bring Mav on and kind of get an update from the team. But thank you very much for all of your wonderful information and for sharing a little bit about Karpatkey with us.
Thank you for having me, guys. It was a pleasure for sure.
Absolutely. Mav, are you back with us here?
Yes, sir. Sure am.
Good morning to you. I don't know how you do all these late night calls and this 24-hour schedule that you seem to be working, but it's good to hear with you. I thought maybe for this afternoon here, I think you had a few items that you wanted to cover with the community. Any of the items that you want to start with here?
Yeah, we've kind of desynced a little bit with the bi-weekly update. The last call we had, Jasper was hosting, right? Was pretty much just as the bi-weekly was getting published on Medium. So we covered off quite a few topics that we'd otherwise maybe talk about today. But I do have half a dozen or so things to quickly go through. Shouldn't take too long. I suppose a good segue is talking about the events that are coming up, especially DevCon in Bangkok. To be honest, not much of an update since I mentioned it last, which probably would have been on last week's community call. We're still trying to sort out some flights and accommodation, but at least coming from Australia, that's not too much of a challenge compared to, going to the other side of the world for, say, ECC or ETH Denver. So we'll get there, but we do have sponsorship at the Staking Rewards Staking Summit all sorted. We do have DevCon tickets for the team members who will be there, which is everyone. So yeah, maybe not the most convenient place for people to visit, say from the US or Europe this time around, but it would be great to see everyone there. It'll be my first DevCon, so I don't really know what to expect in that regard, but from what I've heard, it is definitely more of a tech focused, would be the right way to say it, event. I guess community focused as well, certainly say more so than something like Token 2049, which we are not going to this year. We're going to skip Singapore. But I mean, ETH Denver also seemed to be pretty community focused, so regardless, everyone seems to have great things to say about it, and Bangkok's always good, Thailand. So actually, do you know what's the status of HodlerCon, Ken? Is that still going ahead afterwards in Phuket?
That is a good question. I know that there were some difficulties with the hotel that they selected. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't attended one of the planning meetings in about a month. I've had a couple of personal issues kind of come up with the passing of a family member, so I've been kind of more in real life than I have been in the online community. So I don't know what the status of HodlerCon is afterwards. The best advice I could give folks here is to just ping the HodlerCon Discord and find out. I know even if they don't have something, let's say, more officially set up, I know a lot of people are still planning to spend some time in Phuket after the events there in Bangkok. So I definitely encourage everyone to reach out. I think the team's trying to find a different venue and different location. But if others know more than I do, please chime in now. The thing, just maybe to circle back to Bangkok, I guess this is a couple of things. Everybody's getting very excited, especially here from the States. And yeah, Mav, I think you're right that it's very, I don't want to say professional conference, because you don't see, maybe we will this year, but you don't normally see people in suits and ties. You see all the IT technical devs, people that are, maybe if the meme "I'm in it for the tech" applies, this is kind of that group. But there's just so many of them that it's hard not to feel the power and enthusiasm of Ethereum, right? So it's hard not to get excited, but it's not hype. There's no commercial. There's no big swags. There's no big booth. There's no, magicians doing card tricks to attract you to the booth or whatever it is, or giveaways or spin the wheels and that sort of stuff. So it just seems more real, I guess, and less hype. But now tell me just a little bit about it. Like for those that are planning to attend and really want to participate in the Rocket Pool community, the first event is that staking event, right? And I guess unlike ETH Denver, right, the booth is going to be set up for you. So there's not much of a setup. Like if people want to participate in that, what should they do? Just get a home staker ticket for, I think, $99 and join in that conference? Tell us maybe a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's probably the most important thing to talk about, which is there is a discount available for home stakers. So make sure you don't end up paying the full price. We will probably a little bit closer to the time, although I guess it's not too far away now, is it really? Put out a ping in Discord just to make sure everyone's aware of that. But that is probably the main consideration, yeah. I think for the staking summit, there is that sponsorship aspect, but we don't really expect it to be too full on. It's maybe more just to make sure that the Rocket Pool brand is out there, and we will have a few people walking around in the orange shirts, I'm sure. I think Dave mentioned that he was working on a slightly new design in terms of a run of, I'm not sure if it's t-shirts or polos or what, but yeah, some branding for the staking summit. So the dates for that's before DevCon, I think 8th to 9th of November. Yeah, and then there's a little bit of a gap over the weekend, I think. Is it the Sunday,
Yeah,
Monday?
this is the Friday, Saturday before the event. It's at a slightly different venue, but well within public transportation distance. It looks like it was maybe a few stops of the subway or air train. So easily doing but it's a different venue and you need a different ticket, I think, are the key points.
Yeah, and then DevCon runs for almost a week, right? So I think we're going to be there. Well, it could run to almost 10 days, definitely more than a week all up. But
Yeah, it starts, I guess, that Tuesday. So you're right. There's a gap of Sunday and Monday. There is there's a couple of side events I know on that Monday, right? The Ethereum Alliance one looked the most interesting. That's the one that's about business use cases of Ethereum. That's kind of the area I think is really, really needed or really emerging, right? So that one is kind of attracting me. But are there any plans from the team to, I don't know, do like one of those boat rides or do a meetup or a bar somewhere? I don't know what you do for just a hangout point in Thailand. I've never been, so this is going to be a new experience for me. But a lot of people in the community are asking, is there going to be some Rocket Pool, bar and Rocky Mountain oysters or whatever?
the former, yes, we will sort something out once we have, I guess, a better idea of, for example, where we're going to be staying and what kind of numbers we'll have from the community. But certainly in Bangkok, it's not going to be difficult to find a venue, whether that's beers or some Thai food or both. But yeah, we'll definitely make something happen.
Yeah, I'm reading trading at the same time here. And then, yeah, DevCon, I guess for those that are listening and don't have your DevCon tickets or are thinking about it, I will give my pitch here, which is saying that, look, I know it, especially for those from the US, it might be an expensive and long flight. But if you are interested, if you haven't been to a cryptocurrency conference, you really want one that's high value. All right. It's really the tech. It's really about the possibilities and the capabilities of Ethereum. If you really want to be in a room with a lot of smart people, this is probably the highest value to noise level that you're going to see in any of the conferences. So I really encourage you for it. And I know that they're releasing the tickets in waves. So just look at it. You can pursue them. The tickets are not that expensive, even at the general admission level. They do really try to keep it very accessible. And this is one of the events where somebody asked me, is there a lot of side events? Once the DevCon event is happening, I think my past experience has been that the quality is so high there that most people don't want to go somewhere else during those main days. They really stay in the venue or with that group of people. So it's good. Everybody's kind of in one big venue. And the side events are maybe at most just a dinner evening thing, something where people just want to get a little bit of fresh air and eat somewhere else. But most of the people are living, breathing, talking, communicating, living in the community in the venue.
Sounds good. Okay, I've got a couple more things to go through. We have a lot of guests lined up for the future community calls. I think 4 right now. First up next week we have Blocks Route. I believe Jasper is hosting that one. And then for that, there is a post on the DAO Governance Forum the main topic is going to be Bloxrat's new validator gateway product, which I believe is a relay or similar to a relay, but it's a paid service, and the DAO is currently, I believe it's the GMC, right? Seeking
Yes.
yeah, integrating.
Yeah, and I highly encourage everyone to please pay attention to both. We really need the community to kind of make a call on this thing. It's sort of maybe an alignment or an ethics type approach. Like, what do we as a protocol want to do with regards to paid MEV relays? And there's some benefits it offer, and there's some kind of trade-offs that it offers. So the GMC very much is looking for an engaged PDAO to provide guidance and advice and general consensus on this topic. So definitely, if you can't make that call, listen to it in the rerun.
Yep. The following week, which would be into September, we have Archive. So they're a protocol management company. And then we have Contango, which is a DeFi looping protocol. And then the week of 16 September, we're probably going to have Sprout along, which is kind of like a liquid staking aggregator index. Anyway, there I'm going to be using rETH as part of what they're building. So yeah, a little bit of calendar juggling coming up to make all of that work. And I'm sure a few of them will feature you coming back as a host, Ken. And then the last point, which is probably saving the biggest or the best to last, over the past week or so, a lot of discussion has focused on the possibility of ETH-only mini pools. And that is also something that Langers and the team have been spending quite a bit of time looking into. I think more recently, one of Langer's most recent points in the thread, which is under the research channel. So there's an ETH-only mini pools research thread with a lot of posts in there, a lot of information. And Langers was saying that he is coming around to the idea, and the guys just have to work through, I guess, some R&D stuff around how it would actually be implemented. But that is definitely the most significant discussion point doing the rounds right now within the protocol. Obviously, we've just had the 4 votes pass. I think that was yesterday, right?
Yeah, and I looked at some of them. I think they all passed unanimously, almost, or pretty close. Like it was like 98, 90, 99%, something like that. Is that a correct recollection?
Yeah, definitely pretty high, that's for sure. I guess goes to show the amount of work that was put into crafting these RPIPs to make sure that kind of feedback was taken on board, and some very thorough prep work to making sure that they aligned with what the protocol wanted. So great to see. Now it's just simple matter of implementing, I guess.
In terms of the ETH-only pools, is there something that we should do as a community call? Would it be helpful to have Langers come on one of them and describe a little bit? I know that there's a sense of maybe not urgency, but timing to kind of keep up with the Joneses and the Lido folks. Is there something that the community can do to kind of help in that process, or is it pretty much just make the decision and allow the team to work through the technical challenges? I saw some of the workarounds about staking one RPL just to avoid something, but I know they're also putting in something on the hotfix. So but anything the community can do to help in that process.
Yeah, I was just looking earlier at the potential times for some of these upcoming community calls, and a lot of them are going to be sort of around now or maybe a little bit later, but regardless, not a great time for Australia. So we may have to do a separate town hall at some point, which is probably a good idea given the significance of the topic. So yeah, watch this space. It'll either be as part of one of the community calls, or we might do a separate call to discuss. The only problem
Yeah,
is
I was going to say I'd be very.
You go, Ken.
Oh, sorry about that. It's always the challenge of Discord. You can't get the visual cues of who's going to talk next. But yeah, I'd be very glad to support that in however I can. I think definitely the topic is of great interest to everybody in Rocket Pool. I think that's a very fair statement. And so, I'm sure Jasper and myself would be very glad to host that and really kind of do a deep dive and discussion with the community.
Yeah, the only problem is if we do make it a Langers friendly time, then usually one other part of the world gets left out, and it's usually Europe. So we'll try our best to make it work for everyone, but it's probably something that if you are interested in the topic, to spend a little bit of time going through the thread. As I said, there is a lot of good content in there, but the flip side of that is that there is a lot of content to read through. So maybe we'll get a bit of a summary out in advance and an opportunity for people to post questions in advance if they can't make the call, but it will be recorded, of course. So however we end up structuring this, I've said it a couple of times, but it's obviously pretty important to the protocol and something that shouldn't be done lightly, I guess. And also, something that we want to make sure we get the best version of instead of just rushing something into production.
Agreed. Excellent. May I have any other things that you had on your list that you wanted to kind of update the community on? Or if not, do you have any inside bread that we can just keep to the people that are listening right now?
Nothing more. That's the end of my list. Bread. I don't think I have anything this time around. Sorry. Maybe it's not.
I guess it's not that. No, go ahead, please.
But we are kind of overdue for another smart node release, and I think that is not too far away. So keep an eye out.
Will that smart node release be version 1 or version 2?
I don't think it's quite ready for version 2. There was some work being done on this the word escapes me. The voting
auto initialization.
Yeah, that's the one.
Well, there goes the poly market on when version 2 will be out there. But but yeah, no, it would be great to get an update there. And I for one am looking very much forward to the days of version 2, and more importantly the GUI that might be coming after that by whatever means possible. But yeah, so something I could still dream about getting one of these days. I guess one last question, as I know we're reaching kind of the end of the time here, though. I guess the one question is it sort of seems like it's always juggling. I always give Langers quite a lot of props for being able to manage the team and the community with lots of moving parts. But it does sort of seem that there's maybe kind of the two focuses going on, and I don't know if you could just maybe comment a little bit about the time sharing between the two. There's sort of the current needs of deploying the hotfix, and I saw there was a post in general this week about that and kind of where they are on that and kind of the current works. There's maybe the interim measure of 0 ETH only mini polls, right? That kind of comes in, and then there is the overall pressing challenge of when Saturn won, right, and kind of the timing of that and the amount of work that needs to be there. Mav or TPN, if you have any thoughts on this too, like what fraction of time are they kind of spinning between them? Is it are they all kind of focused on the earlier projects, and Saturn is still much in kind of the road mapping and the planning, yeah, or where are they at from it? And then kind of a follow up to that is, I know that Langer's also posted a question about kind of a community feedback call, and I don't know if you could share a little bit more about that as well.
Is that it does seem to be pretty fluid right now in terms of the prioritizing around these three items, that's for sure. So in terms of like a detailed breakdown, hard to say, but one thing I do recall is I think on one of these previous community calls, Langer said something around, oh, Houston was a lot of work. Every upgrade is larger than you kind of set out for it to be, and maybe we wanted to take a little bit of not a break, but I guess it would be nice to have a period of reduced workload going into the ramp up to Saturn, and obviously that didn't happen. So it is definitely all systems go behind the scenes. Feedback call, that is probably something to bring up on the stand up later today. So I will make a note to get some thoughts on that.
Excellent. Well, thank you for both those updates. I know it's stuff that we're going to be very much looking forward to here in the community. Any other things by either yourself or any of the other members that are on the call before we bring today's community call to close?
I did remember to provide some clarity on my current Discord name, which is, I guess, yeah, nobody would really know what the go is around that except for other team members. I got a DM over the week from someone at a smaller exchange, shall we say, and they asked for an update on Ricky Pool, not Rocket Pool, and then they followed up and asked when the token was going to be launching. So yeah, that was a nice kind of light-hearted moment during the madness. But yeah, no, I think we've covered off the main topics. So I'm all done. And yeah, thanks for hosting the call, Ken. Looks like the recording is working just fine. So we'll get that up shortly. I guess it is a pretty good time for US and Europe. So maybe there's not so much pressure on that recording. But yeah, if you missed the start or you want to recap anything, it should be up on YouTube within the half hour.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt, for staying up late and joining us, and for all the folks that joined here in the Rocket Pool community. It's great to spend a little bit of time to get caught up, and looking forward to the next community call with Jasper here. These are always such great learning events, and it's wonderful to hear from the team and learn what's happening in the inside baseball.
All right. See you on the next one. See you in trading.
Bye, everyone.